Hey guys, welcome to the final part of Banjo-Kazooie. I feel gypped. There's no prizes here. I'm the prize now. Yeah, so remember last part where we did the whole quiz and then Grunty just ran off? And we kind of ran off too, because I guess Banjo-Kazooie had a short-term memory. Yeah, let's just finish this. Actually chase after Grunty this time around. And here's a warp pod to the beginning of the quiz if you don't want to walk all the way. Not really the most helpful warp, but it's a thing.
By the way,
Yeah.
810 notes in order to fight the final boss.
That's 90 shy of the maximum count of notes in the game. So you pretty much have to get them all. Also, you need almost every single Jiggy as well, because as you see, with all of them collected, we have 6 left over after completing the final puzzle to get into the final boss fight. This is one of those games where if you just try to do like an any percent playthrough, you have to get so close to 100%, you might as well just get everything else.
Yeah.
It's honestly a game I've never beaten without 100% completion because of how strict the ending completion is, that you pretty much get it along the way to be safe. These doors are all kind of expensive, but they're not needed because these are all just optional things. Most of these are going to be refills on your collectible things like red feathers, yellow feathers, and eggs, but this door is a special door. Behind this one is our final puzzle to do in the game, which actually gives us double health. Kind of a weird spot to put it, if you want to be honest, because this is only useful for the final boss fight. Would have liked to have this one earlier, or maybe have this to be the reward for collecting all the honeycombs. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
My gosh, you needed what? 882. So you were 18 shy of max
Yeah.
to get the last to get double health.
And 2 Jiggies are left over now.
Yeah, you might as well. That's literally like 99% of the game.
Yeah, this is probably the most egregious game I've ever played that is so strict on what you get to beat the game, because no other game I played is this insane. Even the sequel tones this down a lot. You still need to get a majority of like notes to get the moves and Jiggies to open the way, but to open up the final boss fight in the sequel, you need 70 out of 90 Jiggies. Compared to this game, which is like 84 at that point. Like a huge difference.
It's like a Mario 64 word.
Yeah.
Let's compare it to Mario 64. Mario 64, in order to get to the final boss, you only need 70 out of the 120 power stars.
Yeah, it's just a little over half.
Unless you're doing a skip in which case you need like what, 2?
Oh, yeah, I mean, if you're playing the original releases and you just glitch your way everywhere, you don't need any stars. Just 1 key.
Jump in there? No way!
Oh, come on, Kazooie. Which butt? So yeah, this is not a warp pot. This is actually the same pot we see in the very beginning cutscene, Ding Pot, and he watches just take us straight to the final boss. So he's a traitor at the end of the day. Good for us, because I don't know how else we would have got up here. There's no flight pad.
This boss is actually really hard the first time you fight her. I have trouble with her sometimes, even in playing this game for years.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem I have with this fight is the specific phase. There is one phase in this fight in particular that's super dangerous because you have to fly up in the air to start attacking Grunty with beak bombs. And if you're not careful, you can just get knocked out of the sky and just die immediately. Because if you fall down, that's an insta-KO. So try to avoid falling off the tower at all costs.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
This fight becomes a lot easier if you have gone out of your way for the Cheeto cheats, because now we have 20 gold feathers to use, which is a lot of extra invincibility, and we have that double health now, so there's not as much of a risk of us dying in the fight based on damage. It's more based on just getting knocked off the sides, which is really scary.
And or player skill at this point as well.
Yeah, because if you're not careful enough when you're just leaning on the edges, it's very easy to walk off.
Hmm.
This isn't an early N64 game after all, and
Yeah.
controls are not like great, so
Yeah, well, especially if you're playing the 360 version, because more sensitive stick.
Yeah, that homing shot that she does, the only way to really stop it is to use a Wonder Wing.
Yeah, you can't really avoid the attack, so you have to take damage. So at that point, you just have to use Wonder Wing. Also, be extremely careful here, because the only way to hit Grunty is you do have to stand on the edges here, but you have to stand on, like, the green pegs. If you're facing in the wrong way when Grunty hits you with one of these fireballs, it will knock you backwards into the pit. This has happened to me multiple times, and again, it's an instant KO. So be very careful how you stand.
The knockback's based on which way you're facing, isn't it?
Yeah, so if you get hit when Banjo's facing the screen, you will fall down into the pit. So I've had plenty of times where I'm trying to leave, and then I get knocked in the pit.
Alright, this is the part you were talking about.
This is probably the hardest part on a casual playthrough, because it's very easy to get knocked out of the sky at this point. If you miss with a beak bomb, you can just go straight down to a pit. You gotta be very careful with your aim here. And notice how they do give you red feathers here on this map, but if you run out of red feathers, and there's no more on the map, you have to die, because there's no way to hurt Grunty anymore, because you need a red feather to activate Beat Bomb. So this kind of is a soft lock phase in a way, and there's another one coming up too that is in similar realm if you run out of ammo.
But thankfully, because you've got all of the refills, you've got everything ranked up. By this point, if you've had enough practice, you should be okay, but again, it's then down to confidence of player skill with the controls.
Yeah. One of my least favorite things that can happen in this fight is if you're bad with your beak bomb angle, you run into the floor. Like if I beak bomb right now facing downwards, I will hit the floor, but I keep the speed from the beak bomb, and it could just push you right off the cliff.
Oof.
This happens in other levels, but it's really bad here.
And now she's in her I'm invincible state.
Yeah, there's nothing we can do here, and we have to wait around. And now we have this Jinjo statue section here. This is another section where you can get soft locked out if you run out of blue eggs and there's no more in the field. You have to just come back with more eggs at that point. There's nothing you can do. Interesting fact, though. If you're playing this game on N64 emulator, certain emulators are bugged in this fight, because I actually had an issue, and I think it was with one of the newer builds of Project 64 in particular, because I didn't have this with BizHawk. There is an issue in this fight on an emulator where sometimes this statue I'm going towards over here, the blue Jinjo statue, well, no, that's the green one. The blue one was earlier, but the Jinjo statue, sometimes one of them, the graphic for the door doesn't load properly, and because of that, it's already shut, but it has an opening. If that happens, your fight's just dead.
Oh, no, yeah, that sounds bad.
That doesn't happen on natural hardware nor in 360, so this is one of those cases where this is not really a good game to play on emulator, depending on what you're playing on. I noticed these quirks because I have to get certain footage from N64, and the only easy way to do it is through emulator, sadly. And you experience those weird issues at times. So shout out to the practice ROM, allowing me to skip to the final boss fight. If that didn't happen, I would have some issues with this ending sequence for footage. And practice too.
Come on, Banjo, activate your final smash.
Give it a second, gotta charge up that meter. I just need a couple more hints, Grunty. It's almost full, just don't KO me yet.
So this is the one that basically would soft lock you out if you were emulating it, correct?
Well, no, I never actually got this one in particular, because this statue, I don't know if it would lock you out or not, but one of the previous ones locked me out. Because the graphic didn't load correctly. But yeah, that's it. Once you fill up this statue with eggs, game is over. You win.
So it wasn't even Banjo who beat Grunty. It was just sheer luck that the Jinjo's like, oh, I'm the mighty Jinjonator. I'm the governor of California. I'm going to be...
You know what's the weirdest part about this whole Jinjonator sequence? This is never referenced in the sequel. When you have a whole Jinjo village, and one of them's a Jinjo king, and I guess no one knows about this mythical creature.
Bye, Grunty.
I love how Grunty's like, oh, here.
I love how this Jinjo says Jinjo, though, because it's a super deep voice Jinjo. Also, nice aim, Grunty.
Can you get hit by that?
No, it's impossible. That's the whole joke of it. She misses because she falls. That's supposed to be a one-hit KO, but she can't aim. Now, yeah, we don't necessarily kill Grunty, but with how powerful the Ginginator is knocking her out of her invincibility state, yeah, she's gonna be stuck under that rock for all of eternity. I think.
Too heavy.
But now she's definitely defeated. Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, there's no way she can come back. Never. Especially in a bony state or in a robot for some reason.
Maybe? Definitely? Maybe? Oh.
But we beat her.
Now it's true game over.
Yeah. I don't know where this island is. This is just out in the middle of nowhere. We're gonna assume maybe Treasure Trove Cove with the same aesthetic. But you got that jet ski after all. Good for you, my friend.
Look at
Damn it, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, that melon that Bottles has, man, that's so juicy.
Can't blame him. Watermelon's so good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Bottles. That's the life for me, is having a big old watermelon, just shooting the seeds out. Bullet seed.
And that's why you get seedless. And that still has seeds, so what the heck? They lied to me.
Let's watch the cast list. Again.
So, did you like watching the credits? You want to watch them again? Except now, it's just enemy roll call.
Topper.
You're gonna notice a lot of these enemies, very weird names. That's not an onion, that's a ball.
Because it's a bulb. It's an onion bulb.
It's really weird to see names for, like, tutorial enemies you never see again. So it's like, oh, that's what that thing is called. I thought it was just rock.
Ticker. Because he's a tick. Get it?
No, we're not gonna call this thing an ox. Just gonna say it has a big butt. Like, what kind of name is that?
And the Groblin's just moonwalking.
Leaky's not an enemy.
Yeah, it just kind of combined with the enemy list at this point, because the previous credit roll call was more for staff, and they kind of just used NPC characters. I guess they didn't count Leaky as an NPC character for this. It's kind of weird.
Clam's just called Yum Yum.
Niblet.
Snippet. And shrapnel.
I mean, that one makes sense, at least for his attack, because it is shrapnel everywhere.
No, no.
Gloop's not an enemy. I don't know. Maybe his rate of bubbles might be a downfall, but
Yeah, the real enemy is drowning.
Muty Sniff. He's not weird. He's just mutated.
Whiplash indeed.
Croctus. That's not an enemy.
Yeah, but more or less, this is just like an 80% enemy, 90% interactable / NPC. It's like where they couldn't fit them in the first credit roll, they just fit them in here too.
Wait a minute. Buzz Bomb is a Sonic enemy. Ah.
Oh no, my lawyer's calling me. We're getting sued. And that's why the enemy doesn't appear in the sequel,
Starving children.
which all have names. And the worst part about it, those are not the same kids they use in Banjo-Tooie, so what the heck happened to those three?
Boggy, what the fuck?
Starving children.
He has a whole new set of 3 kids.
Wait, so you're telling me that Boggy is not only a deadbeat father, but he's bad on the child support too?
I guess he let those ones go for adoption.
Sure, we'll get Gesundheit.
The ancient ones.
They lied to us.
Yeah.
I don't even remember that enemy.
Well, because it's only really in the one level.
Wait, what's the difference between grab and slap?
You never, you get the slap.
One grabs, one slaps. It's basically the Floor Master or Wall Master situation from Zelda.
Oh. Tumblr. It's that one website.
Well, if that's the case, where's Zelda born? I was lied to.
Damn it, Lester.
If that thing was really on Tumblr, it would have big boobs. I don't want to imagine cup with boobs. Please don't get me off the internet. I gotta log off.
Lester,
I'm in danger.
I'm in
I
danger.
don't know who's playing Conker.
Yeah, anyway, yeah, speaking of boobs. Oh, that's what that guy looks like, because we never fought him.
I hate
This is
you.
my happy face. This is also my happy face.
Seaman grumbling.
All these groblins just moonwalking.
Oh, that guy's a chump. That's what they're called, snare bears. I couldn't remember.
It's hard to remember all these different enemy names, because they're very out there. The Zumbas are the only ones I remember, because they're in both this game and Tui.
Grumbling hood.
That's a play on words.
Whip crack. He looks like Whiplash.
Yeah, it's Whiplash, just a little bit different. So yeah, that's it. We're specifically going to just show the final cutscene on N64 because for some weird reason, on Xbox version, it just says game over instead of the end. That bugs me, so here we are. There's also a little bit of flavor text difference because now we're going to talk about stop and swap. This is how you actually learn about the mechanic. But it's a little bit different between versions because they do talk about how this is used for nuts and bolts. Well, in this one, they hint about the next game, Banjo-Tooie. In my opinion, the credit sequence here is better on N64 for that reason, because it feels a little bit weirder when they're talking about nuts and bolts. It just doesn't fit like the same tone they had.
So, they were really confident. They had the balls to say, yeah, we're going to get another game. For being a brand new IP at this point.
Yeah, I mean, this is rare back in like late 90s. They were just throwing out bangers all the time on the system. They were throwing out huge selling games like this and GoldenEye and Diddy Kong Racing. Like they knew they could probably just afford it with all the money they were getting from the rest of their series.
Mumbo's jaw dropped in awe.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite lines here that you don't get in 360. It's like, why isn't it called Banjo-Kazooie Tooie? Because, what the heck, Mumbo? I'm important too. So, we don't get to see all the stop and swap stuff. We only get to see 3 items. Another reason why I wanted to show this on N64 is that these are all in-game recorded clips. So if you're watching this on the 360, it is horribly desynced. Like, this whole climbing tower section, Banjo just falls to the bottom immediately. It's so bad.
Oh my gosh.
So, at least even on emulator here for N64, this stays in sync. Although there's a weird quirk with the graphics here. I don't know why, but in 360, there's a VSync issue. There's a lot of tearing. On N64 emulators, there's a weird checkerboard pattern in these images. Like, you can't win unless you're on N64 itself.
I feel like the reason it does the checkerboarding is because it's also trying to emulate the 3D layering of the puzzles from when you're... Not the puzzles, what is it? The effect of when you're looking through a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
But it's trying to do it on the picture instead. So it kind of dithers out the gaps in the lines of where the jigsaw pieces would be.
Yeah, I mean, at least you can actually see it, because in certain video plugins, like the default ones you get on Project 64, you just don't see this at all. It's bad. You have to use, like, newer plugins nowadays, like the Glide plugin, which is very faithful to the original hardware's look.
Watch picture? I didn't know a picture could move.
This is called a GIF.
Yeah, read these fast, by the way, because especially with this last one, the only issue at this point that we're going to have is that since I had to do this from emulator because I couldn't get the footage from actual N64 at this point, these lines are a little desynced. Like, there's going to be one that's just cut off here in a moment. While these cutscenes don't really have an issue syncing up, there is a little bit of a lag issue, so shut up, Kazooie. He was like, oh, it's another egg, and then that's it. Yeah, we'll just keep those eggs in a key in a back pocket, and just remember that for, you know, down the line.
When we come back to this franchise.
There he goes, blubber out into the sunset. Never to be seen again until he's bankrupt in the next game.
I didn't know Blubba was also the same sound as Boggy.
Yeah, Klungo, you're not strong enough for this boulder, sadly, so you're just gonna stand here for 2 years.
You're gonna stand here for 2 years and the duration of the entire Game Boy Advance game.
Was Grunty in that one?
Yeah.
Yeah?
They keep Grunty under the rock, but they pull her soul out and put into a robot.
Yeah, the GBA game kind of takes a chain of memories kind of approach.
It's weird. And time travel. It's a weird one. But it's not canon, so Banjo-Tooie it is then.